1 2 1 2. Can y'all hear me? Is there anybody out there? We are back. But before we get too far into it, man, I have to make sure that I don't be going down too many rabbit holes. And I remember, because a lot of stuff was happening this week. I gotta take my time and open this thing up right. So I got my notes. Copy and I'm cheating. So first and foremost, I want to send a big happy anniversary shout out to Mom and Dad, Joe and Mina Ada, down there in Texas. They were just here helping us celebrate my my retirement party that my wife and the entire family just came together and just blessed me on. So I just want to say happy anniversary to you guys. It's been a lot of years, and we're praying that you guys have even more years. Here you go. You see, I'm really cheating because I'm last night my phone told me it was the 8th of September. So you guys can see right here, this is our guest for the night, Mr. Galileo. We're going to get into that. We have our Run for Hope that's coming up real soon next week. Oh, no, this weekend, actually. It's this 10th of September. You guys haven't signed up, man, go sign up. And, give back, work out, do whatever you got to do. Just get on out there. And want to happy birthday to my cousin, Marquez. His birthday was yesterday. And tomorrow, but all week, throughout the weekend, we've been celebrating birthdays and all these special events. But the official day tomorrow, Miss Linda G. Gifford, happy birthday to your mama. Love you. Hope you enjoyed your party. It was awesome. This week was awesome. Now that I can stop cheating, let's get into it. It's season 2. We kicking it off, man. I got some guests lined up. Not that the season 1 guests weren't great. They were awesome. But if you did one thing on season 1, season 2, you got to go even harder, right? So, these guys that's lined up, they've been doing great things in the community, continually doing those things, leaders at all aspects. And tonight, kicking it off, man, I got my boy from the military brats. So I was inspired with my wife and the Berlin Bears. Them jokers, man, they hang tight. They keep in touch. And I'm not saying all of them, but that group, man, they do. And so, man, I was thinking, I was like, someone that keep in touch with each other a lot. And this gentleman, Galileo, man, he really does keep in touch. Erica keeps in touch. She finds people. And it's a funny story I'll hit you guys with later. But, I'm going to let y'all check this out. Subscribe. Go Run for Hope. And bringing in my guest all the way from the West Coast, a fellow Nuremberg Eagle, Galileo. What's good with you, brother?
I'm good, Marte. Thanks for having me, man. I mean, gosh, first episode of season 2, huh?
That's right.
I didn't know I was the first one coming up in season 2.
Bro, you holding it down, bro. You open it up, setting the standard, man. How have you been? I
appreciate it.
Bro, okay, so let's see. It's been how long?
You know what? It's been about 30 years, I think. It has to be about 30 years because I'm 44 now. About 30, because we left Germany in 94.
That's right.
Yeah, summer of 94 was when we left.
Bro, it's been 30 years.
It's been about a minute, Marte. It has been, man.
You left in 94. We left in 94. We got a Berlin Bear saying, what's up, Nuremberg? What's up, Lisa? She in the building. I appreciate you guys holding it down, inspiring your brother to get in touch with my peoples. The brats. Bro, this whole time, I didn't even know that brats was an acronym for something. I thought they was just calling us brats.
that's the same thing I thought as well. I just found that out maybe like a year ago.
Right. I just found out this year at an Atlanta pull-up, which Nuremberg Eagles were there, but they were the old Eagles. I didn't know any of them. Bruh, they was like, oh no, them your people. I'm like, them my people, but that's like my and people's. But they were there and they were representing. So, shout out to all of the military brats out there, doing their thing. And I encourage you guys to stay in touch with your people, man. That was the beauty of being a military brat, that you met people all over the world. And nowadays we got social media and we can be like, yo, G, man, you remember this dude, man? What happened to him? So look, before we get into the formalities, Galileo, bruh, I found Jimmy.
Oh, you did?
I found him. Erica helped me find him.
Okay, cool.
And then I was spelling his name wrong the whole time.
Oh, okay. Because I was looking like Jimmy D, and I tried to sound it out based on what you said.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find people. I mean, I found some, but I'm like, nah, that's not Jimmy from the Germany days. That's not
man. He's in the military. He was. I don't know if he still is, but he's in the military, serving. He's an officer. So I was like, yo, Jimmy. I'm still imagining little Jimmy that played on the basketball team.
Yep. I remember.
Shout out to Jimmy Duhe Longside. How you say it? Close.
Oh, that's okay.
Close. I hope I didn't butcher it too bad, but shout out to him. Shout out to Mario, all the people that we went to school with.
Mario, that's right. Yeah.
And what happened to Frank? Have you been in touch with Frank?
Frank, I have been. I think he's a real estate agent now in Florida.
Okay.
I think is what it is. It's been a while that I've last got in contact with him. I did meet him on Facebook.
Okay.
But last I heard he was in real estate in Florida. So yeah, I gotta look into that. Man, you bring back a lot of memories right now, Martin.
Oh man, look, I run into him, but Marcel popped up.
Okay.
Melanie popped up. Her brother Mike popped up. You remember Jeff?
Big Samoan Jeff.
Yeah. He popped up. I was like, I know this dude from somewhere, but the name Eremia was one of my soldiers in Germany, and I was like, but I don't know any of her family like that. And I looked, and it had a whole bunch of other people like linked up. That's why I enjoy it. I'm like, I can't get rid of it. You find your people from back in the day.
Oh, yeah. No, Big Jeff, he's got ties in Hawaii. That's where my dad's side of the family's from.
Okay.
So I lived there for a number of years. So yeah, it was pretty cool, man. Yeah, he's got family ties out there still in Hawaii.
Good stuff, bro.
Yeah.
So you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it,
Martin. Good.
All right, we opening it up, man. Who are you? Where you from? And what do you do, brother?
All right. So as Marte said, I'm Galileo Tan, formerly an army brat. Pretty much grew up in Germany. I mean, we were there for 11 years. We moved there in the summer of '83. So I was there from kindergarten all the way through elementary school, middle school, and my freshman year of high school. So it was after that summer '94. We left. And so we ended up going to my dad's home state, which is Hawaii.
Okay.
So I lived there for a really long time. I think that's the one place I've lived at the longest out of all the places I've lived at. So ended up finishing school there, went to college at the University of Hawaii, eventually got into banking. Never thought I'd be in banking. I knew I wanted to get into business. But for me, it was more marketing. So I got involved with that. And then I got involved with I got a marketing internship at a local bank in Hawaii. And one thing led to the other. With me, I always want to do a good job with whatever I do. So that got me promoted to other roles, and eventually I moved out here to Washington. So I've been here for 6 years now.
Wow.
Here in Washington State in Seattle. Mom's side of the family's from out here. So
okay.
We always used to visit a lot. So for me, it was, coming to Seattle was never new, but living here officially in the summer of 2014 was when, that became official. And yeah, it's been on ever since, working now at a local credit union, doing a lot of things in the community, a lot of things with former Seahawks as well, that are doing things in the community. So
yeah, man, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a big city, but it's got a small community feel to it.
Okay.
So it's really good, like giving back and doing a lot of things. And there's one thing I was supposed to be doing tonight that I actually passed off on. I'm a board member with a local Boys and Girls Club, and we're having our first in-person board meeting tonight. But then I forgot about it, and we had this, and I'm like, no, I got to be with Marte.
Yeah, man.
It's been like 30 years. I can always meet these guys at any time. So,
yeah.
You know.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. That means a lot.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Look, see, and I'm hearing you talking about all the volunteer stuff you do, bro. That's awesome. You know, we be doing the same thing, man. It's so important. I don't know if that's just something that comes with us from being, you know, where we were raised, and also the environment that we were raised in. You know, it's awesome, man. You know. Yeah. And so about that, you having the opportunity to MC.
Oh yeah, you saw that, huh?
Yeah, man. Congratulations. The 2022 was the Filipino Chamber of Commerce conference.
Yeah. So you know, there's like 30 plus chapters nationwide, and so the Seattle chapter, our home chapter here, we're called the Filipino Chamber of Commerce of the Pacific Northwest. And so what happens is every 2 years they have this pretty much this conference. All the chapters link up, kind of do B2B networking, really promoting the home city and seeing how people can do business.
Yeah.
The last one that was held was 2019. This was back in Chicago. So I was out there in 2019, saw how that was done.
I was about to get on to you. I was about to get on to you because we was just in Chicago.
Okay.
But we got there after 2019, so you good. I was about to say, you was in Chicago, you didn't say what's up. Man, we about to have a problem.
Yeah, that was, so it was crazy because that was first week of November 2019. So it was right before the pandemic, but then we actually got stuck in the airport trying to come back because then there was this huge Arctic storm that came in. So if you remember that from the news, so that was pretty crazy, like spending some nights out in O'Hare. But, you know, so that happened. And so we were like, well, the Seattle chapter is going to host it in 2021. But then, of course, the pandemic happened. So we got delayed by a year. So finally, we're able to do what we did. And what we wanted to do was recognize 3 people, you know, our Lifetime Achievement Award recipients from the local community. And with me being a football fan, got to represent for the Seahawks, Doug Baldwin. He's very proud of his Filipino. He's never shied away from it. So I reached out to him several months back. He was like, oh man, that's an honor if you guys are going to recognize me. So so we did. Yeah, it was a pretty cool event. It was a 3-day event, hosted the whole thing from like Thursday, Friday, and then the big Saturday night gala event. So man, I was losing my voice by the time it was done. It was a lot of talking. But it was good though to represent for the city. What's that?
3-day event?
It was 3 days, yeah. So the conference, it was all at the Westin Hotel in downtown Seattle. So we basically had the business conference during the day on Thursday and Friday. There was a morning and afternoon session that was like an hour and a half each. And then we had the gala that was for like 3 hours long. And so I just did it. I was like, let me do it. You know, if no one else will, I'll do it. And I've done it before. So it was really nothing. But it was tiring though when it was done. I mean, but it was awesome, you know, to represent for the city and do what we do. So
yeah,
it was good. Yeah,
that's awesome, bro. I didn't know that Doug was half Filipino, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, his grandma is Filipino, and you know, I always knew of him, but then I think the big thing that happened was I think it was back in 2013 or 14. There was this huge tropical storm that hit the Philippines, and the island that his grandmother's from, it's called Leyte. It was hit really hard. And then the island that my parents are originally from is the one literally right next to it. Okay. So it was a stressful time for our family. You know, we still got family and friends out there, and there was no contact. Electricity was down, phone lines were down. So this happened during football season. And, you know, football, that's like our escape, right? So we're tuning in Sunday. Seahawks game is on, and then Doug Baldwin, when he gets introduced, he comes out waving this big Filipino flag, and I'm like, wait, why is he doing that? And so then we found out about his family heritage and how he was doing that on behalf of his grandmother, and awesome. You know, and all that. So from then on, it was like, okay, he's become one of my favorite Seahawks now, automatically because of that. It
just put icing on the cake to the fact that you probably the biggest Seahawk fan that I've ever known.
Yeah, well, you know, it's been a good past few years, and I'm telling like younger fans, I'm like, hey, buckle up, because it's that pattern, right? It's that ebb and flow. Now we're back in the rebuild stage. It's back to prior to 2012. So here we go. You know, we got to buckle down. And what's that?
True fans, right?
Yeah. I said let's buckle down because it's going to be a rough next few years here. We'll see where we go, but you know, it's all good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Lisa said that's awesome, and the Jewel Junkie The boss, Madam Cupcake, says, "What's poppin', Papa Giffen guest? What's going on, Joe Junkie? I thought you was working. What you doing?" All right, brother. So, what are your ties to the military? I know you said your pops served.
Yeah.
Do you have any more ties? What else have you done any work with the military outside of just your pops?
Yeah, so aside from my dad, I have three uncles that were in the military, all in the Army as well. They all served during the first Gulf War like my dad did,
Okay.
but they were still stationed out of Hawaii back then. Other than that, we do a lot for them locally here in Washington, because where I work at, it's called Harborstone Credit Union. It was founded, originally it was called McCord Credit Union. It was
Yeah.
McCord Air Base right here in Washington. So
Yeah.
it's JBLM, Fort Lewis and McCord Air Base. That's I think it's probably like an hour's drive south of Seattle.
Uh-huh.
So we do a lot of things with the military. We're actually doing something this Friday where we're taking a bunch of single soldiers out, young soldiers out to this island, putting them on a boat. It's an event called the Fufura. And so the Thurston County Chamber of Commerce is putting it together. We're sponsoring it. And what we do is that we take a bunch of soldiers out to this island and just basically give them a good time. It's like a lot of food, a lot of beers and all of that for the whole day. And just thank them for their service. And it's a bunch of young single soldiers that we do this for. So we're the credit union wise, we're heavily involved in doing things for them because of our background and where our corporate headquarters is in Lakewood, which is right literally across from where Fort Lewis and McCord Air Base is at. So because of our military background. So that's why I like working for where I work at. It's not a plug, for anything. They don't know I'm doing this, but I feel proud that we do a lot of stuff for the military because of our history and just me personally. I mean, how we grew up, we saw our parents go through what they had to go through. Absolutely. Along with a lot of other brats. And I know you were in the service too, Marte, and so many others that I grew up with in Germany, ended up joining the military as well. So yeah, always has a special place in my heart, man. Always does.
That's awesome, bro. I know those single soldiers love it too. You
They
say
do, yeah.
food, beer, entertainment, they're there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a bunch of young guys, they're probably like half our age, man. It's
Right,
like
for real.
20, 21-year-olds, 19-year-olds. So
Jesus. Look, when I started seeing the soldiers, first thing was when I started seeing the soldiers that wasn't born. when I came in, I was like, oh Lord. And then when the soldiers was like my young leaders were younger than my youngest daughter, I was like, oh, it's about time for me to go. It's about that time.
But what's crazy though is that being in Germany, it feels like it was only, I don't know, like a few days ago, man. My memories are still so. I mean, when we reconnected a few days ago, it brought back a lot of memories in Germany. I don't know if you remember this now. I don't know if you remember this, but there was this one, it was in the afternoon. I think it was last period. It was freshman year of high school. It was last period. And there was always that one hallway. I forgot the class I had to go to, but I remember I always would walk past you. Like you would come from the other direction. And then whenever we'd pass each other, you'd like start hugging the side of the wall and be like, "No, Galileo, don't beat me up. Don't beat me up." It was something like that. I remember that, man. Like, I remember other kids would look over and be like, "Wait, what was this little kid gonna do to Marte?" And you would be like, "No, don't beat me up, don't beat me up." And you'd like hug the side of the wall. And I remember that, man. That was so funny. I forgot what class it was, but it was like towards the end of the day. It was like last period, I think it was.
But
awesome. But that's what I mean though, as an example that a lot of those memories are so fresh.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about Jimmy, I'm like, oh man, I remember playing basketball with Jimmy in the basketball courts. In our old community there in Firth, and how he used to just tear it up. I mean, no one took him seriously. This short little kid, but yeah, he had handles back in the day.
He was good, man.
He was really good. So
yeah, wow, bro, I forgot about that, but when you said it, I went right back to it, and it's like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that. Like you would always be like, "No, Galileo, don't beat me up, don't beat me up." And you're like at the side of the wall and act all scared and everything. And it was more like fooling the other kids in the hall.
Yeah.
It was more that. And
they was they said Galileo's a nice guy, man. He is not beating nobody up. Stop playing. He's probably helping the person getting beat up. But you was my boy, so that was good stuff, bro.
Yeah, it's all good.
So what were some of the pros and cons of growing up military, being around the military? What are some of those pros and cons that you have experienced and witnessed?
Yeah, so cons, right off the bat, I've met my cousins that grew up in Honolulu and the ones that grew up here in Seattle, and they have all their friends from the ones they grew up with. I mean, They don't even have like official reunions. Like they just meet up. Still, for most of them, they still live in the same neighborhood.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, this is my friend from like, high school, middle school, even elementary. And we don't have that. That's I think the biggest con is that a lot of us, we ended up moving elsewhere, but thankfully because of social media, we've reconnected. So I tell them that, I've always considered where we lived at in Germany is my hometown. I mean, I lived there for 11 years.
Yeah.
So I've seen how much it's changed. The housing, the school, the PX isn't even there anymore.
No.
From the pictures I've seen, it's gone. And so just to tell them that you guys are so lucky that, like where we're at here, it's called West Seattle. It's kind of like more of a suburban area on the peninsula off of where the main city is. And they tell me that for the most part, the area still looks the same from what they remembered back in the 80s. And my uncles and aunts say, oh yeah, going back to the 70s. For the most part, it's still the same. There have been changes, but they still remember where things were. I'm like, man, we don't have that anymore. For those of us that grew up overseas, whether it was Germany, other parts of Europe or Asia, we just don't have it. But what I will say, though, is a huge pro is, I think you said it earlier, Marte, is that we meet people from all walks of life, different ethnicities, different parts of the country, different parts of the world even. I remember having some classmates that were Turkish and German back in the day.
Right.
It makes us more worldly, is what I like to say. We're more respectful of the differences that exist. And there was a post on a Facebook group for Nuremberg alumni. This came out in the summer of 2020 when there was all the racial inequality and uprising. And, here in Seattle, we had riots as well.
Yeah.
In light of the George Floyd killing and all that. And so there was a picture someone showed, and I shared it as well on my social media. It was basically a fist like this, and every digit was a different shade. It started from black, it got from white to black and got lighter, all these different shades, right? And it basically said that with Army brats, we're united as one. That we've never had these issues, because even now when I lived in Hawaii, living here in Seattle, you see different neighborhoods, and the neighborhoods that are well off, and then the ones that aren't so well off, there's a lot of division and inequality. I mean, it is what it is, right? It's society wherever you go in the world. But what I liked growing up, though, was that in our community, everyone was a save. Yeah. Like you wouldn't say in our housing area, this is the good part of town, this is the bad part. I mean, everyone was the same. There weren't people like fronting like, oh, I'm better than you in this, because like we all know where everyone's income was from. Like your parents are in the military. It's we're all the same. And so that's one thing that I miss. And I tell people all the time that for me personally, I mean, just speaking on my behalf, I don't think I've felt more patriotic and truly as an American with full equality and justice than when we lived in Germany. And it's ironic to say that it was in a foreign land where we felt that.
Yes.
And I see it here. There's neighborhoods that are better than others, not as good as others, and things like that. But for us, it was just, and I think that's a bond that we had growing up the way we did, and why it sticks with us. Because I don't know if I don't remember there being any like fights at school about regarding race or whatever. I mean, we were all. I mean, there were fights.
It was fights,
but it was because of what person A and person B had with each other, right? It wasn't because, like all the Asian kids are going to hang out here, all the white kids, all the black kids. I mean, we were all mixed, man, and it truly was a beautiful thing. So I'd say those are definitely the pros and cons to growing up the way we did.
Yeah, Lisa says, great memories. Yes, she agrees with you. So one of the big things for me, just spinning off of what you said, is we left in '94 too after that school year, and then Nuremberg closed in '95, but soon as we got back stateside, bro, we hit Southeast Georgia. And so we go from, having all of us, white, black, brown, purple, green, red, whoever, if you was an alien and your parent was serving in the army, we was like, oh, welcome to the class. They obviously let you in, so hey, come on in, sit down, enjoy yourself. But we got down there, bro, and it was like a culture shock. Now I'm from Georgia, and it was a culture shock. It was crazy, bro. We had it was a couple race riots that we had, and I'm like, I literally got stopped one time. A guy asked me, I'm not gonna put his name out there, I do remember him, but he asked me, why do I hang out with, he said, why? So let me ask you a question. I was like, yeah, what's up? He said, why you hang out with them? I'm like, hang out with who? He's like, those, I was like, what are you saying? I'm literally lost. Like, what are you saying? First and foremost, there's a different dialect in Southeast Georgia, South Carolina. It's called Geechee. And if you don't understand it, if you don't fine tune it, you'll be looking at like, what are you saying to me? But once you know, being military brat, you learn how to tune into like all the different, you know, you know, the sounds, okay, now I understand what you're saying. Whether you speak real fast, you got a draw, southern draw. If you country, you know, you learn. I feel like you learn faster because you're exposed to so many different cultures, right? And so he was asking me that, and then he finally broke it down, and he was like, you know, why you hang out with the white guys and the Asian guys and all these other guys? I was like, oh, they my friends. He was like, friends? You haven't looked around, have you? I was like, nah, I really haven't, I guess, because you know the military kids. When he said that, I realized the kids who was living on base, military kids, most of them, not all. I won't be absolute, but it was a huge thing, right? At the first school I went to. The military kids would hang out with like how we were. Everybody. Boom. It didn't matter. It was mixed up. And we hung out in this courtyard so you could see all the different groups gathering. And then you would have like the group of white kids, you have the group of black kids, and you have the Asians, you have the Hispanics. And it was like, wow. But those were the non-military kids. And then, you know, eventually the military kids would pull more people into it because I'm not gonna not be your friend because, you know, your parents said you can't like me. Oh, yeah. What's up, man? You're smart at this. I'm not. Help me out. Come on, help your boy out. What's up? So yeah, that was a culture shock for me, brother. Coming back, it was crazy, big time. So
crazy, man.
I'm glad you said that. That was man. And you know, we actually had the riot control had to come to the school a couple times, bro.
See, I don't remember that at all back in Germany, man, at Nuremberg, elementary, middle, high school. I mean, like I said, yeah, there were fights. I remember the hill, you know, by the school, everyone used to go up to the hill. I remember that, but it was never like race related or this or that. It was just, you know, beef that two guys had with each other. That's all it really was. So yeah, I mean, it was beautiful, man. And you know, going to Hawaii, it wasn't so much like that because in Hawaii, there's a heavy Polynesian and Asian population in Hawaii. Yeah. So what we consider the minorities here on what we say the mainland doesn't exist in Hawaii. You know, not at all. It's actually the opposite. Like white people, black people, Hispanics, they're the minorities. Right. In Hawaii. So it wasn't so much there. But then coming here to Seattle, I see it. But by the time I came here, I was an adult. But I do see it a lot, though, with the young people we work with. Like I was saying earlier, the Boys and Girls Club. I was, you know, before, and we'll get back to your questions. I just want to kind of segue off of this because it's related to what we were talking about. And when I was teaching these kids, exactly what you and I just discussed was what I had in the back of my head. I was doing this segment for them called Money Matter Mondays. So Mondays from 4 to 5, I'd go into the club, talk to the kids. A lot of them were teenagers, few middle schoolers, but mostly teenagers, and just talk about the basics, right? Saving money, how do you save money, how do you budget, things like that, making wise decisions, because a lot of them are, if not already having part-time jobs, a lot of them after high school are going to get jobs, and we want to make sure that they handle their money well. But I'll never forget this on the first session. So just so you know, Marte, the neighborhood that I live at here in Seattle, it's called White Center. It's not the best neighborhood in Seattle. Okay. You know, it's one of those. It's so West Seattle. It's nice and residential, but then there's a border where you go just like a few streets over, and it's a total opposite to the east than what it is to the west. Okay. I happen to live literally on that border. Is where I lived at. So for anyone that knows, there's a street called Roxbury Street, and then you have all these other streets that run vertical to it. So I'm on 26th Avenue is where I'm at, and we're literally, so Roxbury and 26 is like this. Anything to the east of it, so 25th, 24th, they consider the hood. And then anything 27th, 28th is more residential. So White Center, I'll tell you right, there's nothing white about White Center. Right? It's a local joke here that people have. So the Boys and Girls Club that I'm a board member with, it's called the Southwest Chapter. It's over on 16th Avenue. Okay. So if you can, 8th Avenue. So it's further east. And going to the club, being a board member, we talk about how do we fundraise and all of these things. Yeah. But being there and living in the community, I saw a lot of the things that was going on. So I felt like, hey, I wanted to volunteer, not really become a big brother, but more so just give some of my knowledge and wisdom to help out the young people.
That's awesome.
Because when I was teaching that first class and one of the actual counselors was with me, a fight had broken out with the kids. And it's really stupid stuff. I don't know if you know this, but Washington State is one of the states designated for refugees to come to, specifically from various different African countries. So you've got Ethiopians, Kenyans, Somalians, Eritreans, all different, African sub-ethnicities. The thing about it, though, is that not only do they fight with each other, but then you've got the local African Americans that fight with them, saying that you're not really black and this and that because, you're from Africa. And, it's all BS, right? It's all BS. So when that first broke out, we had to interject. I and the counselor did, because we're talking about, look, it's bad enough right now, the way society is in light of everything that's happened from 2020. And I mean, it's always been happening, but it was brought to the more in the spotlight in the summer of 2020, that there's a lot of people out there targeting you guys just because of the way you look.
Right.
Let's not make it worse by fighting each other because of the stupid stuff about who's really black and who isn't, who's from Africa and who's from here, like dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we had to interject, and it ended up becoming more of a counseling session that myself and the other counselor did in talking to them, because we see it happening here in the neighborhood. Like one of the kids that we worked with before, I found out he's not around anymore because the guy got involved in some gang activity, got shot, and he's not here now. Oh, wow. And I'm like, man, and I remember him being in one of our classes. So I took it personally because of what I remember, what we went through, and it can be done because it can be done, man. It's not some dream. I know Dr. Martin Luther King always talked about, I have a dream, this and that, and I saw it realized in Germany where the communities we were at. Absolutely. I saw it in other communities. We would go out to Erlangen, to Heidelberg, to Bamberg, to Frankfurt, and I see it replicated in these other communities. Exactly. So I'm like, it's not an impossibility, but we got to understand that from within. So when I'm talking to these kids, I'm usually using our examples. Like, I'm imagining us back in the day at the local parks, at the local basketball courts, going to the PX. I remember a bunch of us used to bag at the commissary back in the day, things like that. Like, everyone's just together. So I use that as an example when I talk to these kids, because I'm like, it can be done. It can be.
Absolutely.
And so let's do better. If we want to fix the misperceptions that are out there, let's fix that from within first. So all of this little infighting, like, let's stop all that. Because even in the Asian community, you got the Filipinos against the Vietnamese, against the Cambodians, against the Thai, and all of this. It's like, look, man, like, we're all the same. It's like, I remember my dad telling me when they first shipped out to the first Gulf War in 91, how in the military there's a lot of different ethnicities. But one thing that they were always taught was, hey, our enemies, they only know you as Americans. They don't care that if you're black, you're white, you're Asian, or Hispanic. That bullet is looking out for an American, period. Yeah. And so you've got to look out for each other. You're all brothers and sisters in arms, So like I said, it can be done. So I just wanted to put that out there because a lot of good memories growing up, man. And we're trying to replicate that with one kid at a time here, in what we do. So hopefully we'll get there. We'll see.
That's so awesome, bro. Look, I want to just let you keep going down that rabbit hole, man. Look, you got me wanting to sign up. I'm like, man, when y'all next event? We coming to Seattle.
Yeah, it's Seattle's good. We don't have. I'll say this: we don't have as much of the issues like other cities do in the country. I know for I think like 2 years, we were no longer number one, being the number one tourist destination in the summer for fellow Americans. Because when 2020 happened, the riots, and then I don't know if you heard about a bunch of those hippies that took over part of the city. Yes. There was all that.
I was watching it.
Yeah, it was crazy because, like, locally, I remember the governor was interviewed about it, and the governor said, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said something along the lines of, like, wait, that's happening? I didn't know. And you don't know, CNN is covering it, MSNBC's, like, nationally, I got friends in Hawaii reaching out to me, is everything okay in Seattle? But I will say this, though, the media likes to hype a lot of things up. Okay, it wasn't as bad as it was. Like, I know that Fox News, not saying anything personally against Fox News, but they had this picture they released online, and it showed cars burning and buildings burning, and then someone pointed it out and said, that's a scene from, I forgot what movie it was, but it was a scene from a movie, and they had pulled that up, and I'm like, wait, there were riots, but not to that extent where it was like rows of cars burning and everything, and someone had pointed it out locally where they said, no, this is a scene from so-and-so movie, and they like cropped the two, and sure enough, it was that.
That's
so it did
crazy.
happen. Yeah, so it did happen, no doubt about it, but it wasn't really as bad as people made it out. I mean, my office where I go to is in downtown Seattle. Yeah, I saw the devastation, the cracked windows and everything, but we're back though. Just 2 weeks ago, I heard on the news Seattle is back to number one. I mean, we saw it here in the summer. A lot of people at the waterfront hanging out again, all of this. So we've gotten back to our status of being the number one tourist destination for fellow Americans in the summer. Because, as much as it rains out here and it's cloudy for most of the year, the summers are really beautiful because it reminds me a lot of Germany Day. I mean, the snow-capped mountains in the back, pine trees, water. I mean, it reminds me a lot of that. There's a town here about an hour and a half east of Seattle called Leavenworth, and it's a German town is what they make it out to be. So a lot of tourists go there. They make it out to be like this little Bavarian town. So I went there. It's nice, but I told them that. I mean, this is cute and all, but where we were, I mean,
it's not the same thing.
It's not quite like. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong, it's nice, but where we were, that was what Germany really was.
Yeah, man. Wow.
Man,
y'all get y'all 3 or 4 weeks of summer over there.
Yeah, that's all we really get. We get like, it's not even 3 months. It's more like 2 months of summer we get, maybe 2.5, and then after that, it's for most of the year it's cloudy with a little bit of rain. It's not too crazy in the rain. It's mostly like light sprinkles.
Okay.
But for people that easily get depressed, I would not recommend it because it's dark most of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. My commander, I was in California and our headquarters was at Joint Base Lewis McChord. And,
okay.
So I was
up
there.
So you've been there then?
Yeah. I was there like 3 or 4 times. I was there. A service member got bit by a bear, the same bear twice.
The same bear.
Same bear twice, a year apart to the week.
Oh, that's crazy.
He went running, got bit. A year later, maybe when he finally got over the PTSD of getting attacked by the bear, a year later the bear gets him. They caught the bear. Yeah, they caught him and killed him the second time. But I'm like, a bear on base? Are you serious? They was like, yeah, you can't quarter off all of this stuff. So yeah, man, I was there. I was there.
Yeah. When were you up here?
I was there from 2014 to 2018. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's when I came up here. Summer 2014 was when I moved up here.
Okay, shoot, man. We should have been on daggone social media. Come on, G. Man, you gotta be better, man.
Yeah, I was here. Yeah, I was here too. That's all good. Yeah.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. Well, now we didn't go. We went to the mountains. We did a leaders. Dang, I forget what they call it. Dang, I ain't been out that long. But what they do is they do they bring all their leaders in, and then they'll go out and they'll see like historical areas, like maybe war happened there, do the history on it. Then you will explore the local area. So we did one of those. It'll probably come to me. I'm brain dumping intentionally all of my 24 years of military. So I'm trying to get rid of the 24-hour clock and all of that stuff. So
okay.
All right, check it out. So you said you didn't even realize that you wanted to do it. So how did you end up getting into the banking world, bro?
Yeah. So here's what happened. I didn't know if I was gonna get into banking or not. I knew it had something to do with business. Was what I wanted to get into, and I kind of looked at all the different sides to it, right? Like finance and accounting, and despite me being Asian and despite the stereotypes, I don't care for math, man. I just don't. I don't care for math. I mean, I'll tell you quick story about that though, because this was back in Germany. This was in middle school, and I remember we had a math test. It was me. It was 2 kids to either side and 1 kid behind me. I forgot their names since. It wasn't like the guys that we hung out with or anything. Yeah. But I remember they were asking, can they copy off my paper? And I said, man, I don't know this stuff. Like, I'm telling you guys, I said, I don't mind sharing, but I'm warning you. Like, I don't know. I said, no. It's like, whatever. Like, we don't know it, but you'll know it better because you're Asian.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. So I let them copy. Sure enough, all 4 of us failed. We all got the same score. And then the teacher met with us afterwards. I'll never forget this, man. She met with us afterwards, and she didn't even bother asking, like, who copied off of who. Like, she just assumed right off the bat, like, see, this is what the 3 of you get for copying off of him. And she pointed at me, like, she assumed it was me. And so afterwards, I remember we're walking down the hallways of that middle school, man, and they were like, "Man, I thought you knew this stuff." And I said, "Look, I told you guys I didn't know this. I mean, I warned you. I mean, I don't mind if they copy off me. I don't care, but I gave them warning. And look, we all failed and all had the same score, all same mistakes. Because like one guy would copy off me, show the other guy, then show the other guy, and so there was that. So but yeah, man, I was never really into numbers. But I looked at like all the different areas of business, and one thing that I've personally learned is I've always liked to talk and present to people. And so I thought, okay, marketing or advertising would be good, you know, really promoting stuff. And so there was a local bank in Hawaii. I actually had 3 internship offers lined up, all with marketing agencies. And this was when I was still going to school at the University of Hawaii, UH. So I networked while I was in school, and I had these internship offers ready to go. But then my mom at the time, who worked as an accountant at a local bank, said, "Hey, you know, the bank that I'm working at has an internship program." And I turned her down. I said, "You know, I'm not, like a bank. I don't want to do that." But I looked at their curriculum, and you would rotate through different departments, and one of them was marketing. So I figured, okay, well, let me learn about marketing and other things that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
And one thing led to the other, where, you know, I networked enough within the bank, took an interest in it, and it was a good feeling that they offered me a job before graduation. They said, "Hey, if you are interested, we'd love to have you back. So when you graduate," because this was a summer between my junior and senior years. And so the following summer when I graduated, they said, "Yeah, come on back and we'd love to have you." So I did. And like I said, you know, when I start something, I want to do the best that I can at it. And so I learned to make it fun. And so that's where it took off. Had a lot of different roles within that first bank. Moved out here to Washington, worked for a larger national chain, but now work for this local credit union called Harborstone. And presently I manage a team of business bankers. So I have 6 people in the team that I manage, and we're growing it because we only started last year with this team.
Oh, wow. And
we have 15 branches locally, and the goal is to have one in every branch. So every year we're adding 2 to 3. So that's what my focus is on now. It's helping local small businesses. You know, if they need loans and things like that, we work with them. But one thing I like about Harborstone too, though, is they give us the opportunity to give back, because being at a credit union, unlike the big banks, because I did end up working for one of the big banks when I first came here, big culture shock as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about sales and this and this. How much can you cross sell? And I'm like, man, it's not for me. Like, we're here to help customers, but we're not trying to throw every single product that we can to them, you know, even if it doesn't make sense. But the thing with all credit unions nationwide, so this isn't by no means unique for Harborstone, but we're actually capped by how much money we can make, because we're a nonprofit organization. So whatever excess funds we end up making based on activities we generate, we give that back to our members. And that's what we call our customers in the credit union world. They're our members. So higher interest rates on savings accounts, lower interest rates on loans, or we also sponsor a lot. We give I don't want to say just give away, but we give a lot of money to the community. So nonprofit organizations, fundraising events, we donate a lot, because by law, we can't hold on to all this extra money. Like we've got to. So we're encouraged to be involved in the community. That's why through interests that I have, we connected with Doug Baldwin, for example, and his foundation. There's a few more things we're going to be doing with them. And basically it's looking for ways on, hey, how do we donate this money back to the community? Because we can't hold on to it. We're a nonprofit. You know, again, we're capped by how much we can make in terms of profit and revenue. So, I mean, I got a lot of bunch of stories regarding banking, but that's kind of like the gist of it on how I got involved in banking. And it's been fun, man. It's very relationship driven is what it is.
Yeah.
From what I've gotten to know. Very relationship driven.
That's awesome, bro. You just schooled me up on a bunch of stuff. So, if you could talk to anyone in history,
okay,
we got a chance to jump into the time machine. Who would you pick to hold a conversation with, and why?
And this is just one person to have it with?
If you got more than one, I'll take them.
Okay, so there's 2, but one of them is more a group of individuals. Is more what it is. All right, so I'm going to start with the first one. The first one for me personally, is going to be George Washington, our first president. And just knowing kind of, because my dad's a big history buff. I kind of like history as well, not to the extent that he does. But, you know, we talk about the foundation of the country and all the challenges that our forefathers had to go through, and just telling them that, hey, stay the course, which they did.
Yeah.
But there's, eventually the dream will come true for the country and
Yeah.
what you guys are looking to build. Not saying it's perfect. There's still issues and all that. So he's one person that I definitely want to have a conversation with, just kind of pick his brain on why they're even doing what they're doing, and because back then the pioneers were viewed as rebels and terrorists.
That's
from
right.
from England, right? I
That's
mean,
right.
one person's hero is another. One person's hero is another person's rebel or terrorist. So they were viewed as that. But then here they are. They built what they built. But for me, though, the other one that I always thought about ever since the first time President Obama won his election, the first term that he won was, and this was a discussion we had back in Hawaii, because I think he's originally from Hawaii. Back then people knew him as Barry, not as Barack.
What
And
is
so
Baron?
Barry, Bary.
Okay,
Because
Barry.
Yeah, because when he was first a senator representing Chicago, or in this case, Illinois, he was already making big news in Hawaii. Because I don't know if you know this, but people in Hawaii, they're very proud of whoever comes from the islands, like very proud. They're very, very pround, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of people that he went to school with were showing pictures, old black and white pictures back in the 70s, like, oh yeah, Barry, and they were showing like pictures of him playing basketball. I mean, it's crazy. It's like when he was a teenager, and they said that he was Barry to us. So just feeling really proud about it, that in Hawaii we have this term, it's called a kama'aina, and it's someone who's from the islands. Whether you're born and raised, or you've lived there a long time, or you have family roots, you're considered a kama'aina. So it doesn't just apply to the native Hawaiians. It's a lot of other ethnicities, as long as you're from the islands, because kama'aina means land, kama means from, like from the land.
Okay.
And so we took it as a personal affront when there was all this controversy about, oh, he was never born in Hawaii, this and that. The local hospital where he was born at came forth and said, we're not going to show it on TV because it's a private document, but we have a copy of his birth certificate. How are you to say that he wasn't born in Hawaii? We're saying that he does. So when that happened, I remember there were some talks as well. It was more in the online world where, you guys just voted for Barack because he's black or this and that. And it's like, well, why shouldn't people be happy for what he achieved? Because for me, it was one huge step for not only African Americans, but for every other minority that always dreamed big in this country. And not just with politics, but with anything, right? When we say that you can be whatever you want to be, well, guess what? Here's a living example of what that is.
That's right.
Because when professional athletes, when you got a lot of young kids wanting to be, going into the NBA, the NFL, doesn't matter how hard you work at it. There's a level of physical ability that's born from within, right? Like you just need it. Like, as much as I played basketball in Germany back in the day, there was no way I was going to be in the NBA. There just wasn't. But it is what it is. It wasn't in the cards for me. But through education, though, you truly can achieve what you like, because he never came from a family of wealth. His mom and dad wasn't around a whole lot. It was mostly his grandparents that raised him in Hawaii. So there was a lot of that stuff going on. So for me, to go back to your question here, who I'd really like to speak with, and then just looking at, if you remember growing up, we saw Roots back in the day, right? That long segment, and it's just talking to those former slaves, man. Yeah. It's like, you know what? I know this sucks right now, and this is gonna suck for the next several more hundreds of years. But the very building that you guys are building now, the White House, guess what? We're gonna have a black president in this country. It's like, just talking to them more as a group, where hang in there, because it's not going to happen in your generation, not in your kids' generation, not in your grandkids' generation, but eventually things will get good. And so I don't look at successes of professional athletes and rappers and all. I mean, it's beautiful that they're doing what they're doing, but to have him though as a president, I mean, to achieve the highest level of office, not only in the United States, but in the free world. I mean, that's something else. And, forget Republicans, Democrats, and all that, just to achieve that level of office. And with a class that he did, and for 8 years, in winning re-election.
Back to back.
Like back to back. I mean, if we can celebrate Michael Jordan and his 2 3-peats, which I do all the time, he's my GOAT, but that's another debate for we got to celebrate that back to back right there. And that just, and so for me, it's thinking about what a lot of those slaves had to go through back in the day. Because there's 2 groups of people, and I learned this more when I came here to Washington. There's 2 groups of people that I feel had it the worst here in the United States. Hawaii as well. It's the indigenous people. So it's the local native Hawaiians, And the people that we now refer to as Native Americans, I mean, we've lost track of what their actual names were.
That's right.
You know, here in the Pacific Northwest, we have the Duwamish, the Suquamish, and all these other tribes. And then the ones I like to say mainstream, you know, Comanche, the Apaches, the Navajos. But there's so many more where their identities were lost.
That's right.
But in addition to them, I also say that, hey, it's our current group of African Americans. I mean, being taken from where you were, losing that identity against your will, and that lasted for hundreds of years. So whatever hardships that other ethnicities have, I'm not saying that they're, you know, I'm not belittling that
right.
in any, but we, like our family, for example, we're here because we chose to immigrate here. Now, yes, we had hardships, all this anti-Asian stuff. Look, that's nothing new, man. I mean, I'm in my mid-40s. I've experienced that my whole life.
Yeah.
It's just the mainstream media jumped on that about 2 years ago, but that's nothing new. But even then, and again, not belittling that, but really there's those two groups that really had it the worst. It's the indigenous people, and then those that were against their will, forced to come here to this country. So it's a beautiful thing when, you know, those that happened to, they're able to build from that and really, you know, grow into something special. So for me, it's those two groups of individuals. It's like it's more like just hang in there, because things will get better. They really will, you know.
Yeah.
And you guys are building towards something special, because here you go. You know, Mr. Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama became the president. So that was a big victory. I know in the Black community it was, but I'll tell you right now, in the Hawaiian community, that was really celebrated. And it was beautiful to see, you know, Pacific Islanders and different Asian ethnicities, and even white and Black people locally in Hawaii celebrate that, because for us, it was bigger. It was a Kama'aina that achieved that. So that's who it would be. I don't really long-winded answer, man. I like to talk though, just I want to forewarn you.
That's probably why we were good friends when we were in school, because I didn't know it until I started this podcast that I like to talk. So my wife is like, ugh. I gave my speech, my retirement speech, and everybody was. My dad keeps joking. He's like, when you said that, your soldiers, they said, "Oh yeah."
They sat back.
He said they sat back and settled in. They knew. I was like, man, stop playing. All right, bro. So you've been hitting us with some good life lessons, like the stuff. The reason I started this thing, bro. So like legit. This is a good kickoff to season 2, bro.
Yeah, I've been through a lot, man. There's a lot that we talk, especially to the kids, about. Yeah, a lot of things we talk to them about. But like I said, it always goes back to our memories, man, and what we achieved. I say, look, this can be done.
Yeah, man.
I personally saw it for 11 years, and I'm not saying it only happened with our generation, but even former group. I mean, you said you went to the reunion in Atlanta, right? And it was like older guys that you didn't even know, and look, they're still together. So
yes,
yeah. So but you know, we got to set that up though, because I know I don't know if you remember Damon Bass. You remember him?
Remember him, man.
I see it on social media. He's in Colombia.
He's where?
Yeah, he's in Colombia, right there in Georgia.
Colombia?
Yeah. Is it where Colombia, or is it
South
Columbia?
Carolina?
Wait, maybe I missed that up. But he's in Georgia, though. He's in Georgia.
We have Columbia County, Augusta.
Is there a Columbus, Georgia, or
Columbus, Georgia? Yeah.
Okay, you know, I think it's Columbus then. I think I got that mixed up. Because I saw his post on Facebook. He's a business owner. I've seen him on Facebook.
What?
Yeah, he's a business owner. It's what was it? It was something about maintenance or something like that. But yeah, he was showing like the trucks in his business that he was proud of. Yeah. So he's in Georgia. Mario is in. I believe
he's in Columbus.
He's in Georgia, right?
Mario's in Columbus.
Okay.
He was in Atlanta, but then he moved back to Columbus.
Okay. Have you met him since in person?
I have. Okay.
Oh,
So we're both from Columbus. Well, at least that's where he claims he's home as. And so whenever I would be back home, because that's where the bulk of my mom's side of the family was at.
Okay.
I would be like, yo, Mario, where you at, bro? And he would swing through and pick me up, man. And so he would link me up with Nanette. You remember Nanette, Nalani, and Nelisa Barrios? I think.
Oh, yeah. Barrios. Okay, I remember the last name. Yeah.
And so
that's right.
They were there, and it's, you know what it is. All of our parents end up getting stationed back in the same places that they were in, right? And so they got stationed back at Fort Benning. and
Okay.
they ended up getting out there, and so they were there. And then Miracle came in to see Nanette
Mm.
when we were there one time. So when he took me to see Nanette, Miracle was there, so we saw her.
Oh man. By the way, Miracle looks like she's never aged, man.
Yeah, yeah.
When I first connected with her on Facebook back, I'm like, damn, you still look like I remember from middle school. What happened?
High school.
Yeah, like that's crazy.
Life has hit everybody else. She's stuck in a time machine.
Oh, that's awesome, man. You know, I always thought Mario was from North Carolina and his family.
I think
all
he
his
was
older
born in
brothers.
North Carolina. Yeah, I think he
Okay.
has family there, but like, you know, I think they stayed kind of like how you said most of your a lot of your time was spent in Germany and Hawaii.
Yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of his time was in Fort Benning area, Columbus.
Oh, okay.
And so that was just kind of like where home was. For us, my family got stuck in Hinesville, which we don't say that's home, but that's where the bulk of our time was. And that was
Okay.
woo.
'Cause I remember his older brothers, man. We used to go out. They used to live up in the temp section in housing because they're the big family. And every time I knock on the door, they always give me a hard time. They'd be like, Mario, your friend, what's your name? And they knew my name was Galileo, but they'd say stuff like, it's Copernicus, you know, it's Leonardo. But what did you get? And they would say all these names. And I'm like, man, shut up and let me in.
Bruh, they didn't just do it to you. They did it to me too. They got me
I
telling
remember
like,
that.
come on, man. You know who I am.
And Mario's mom would be the only one to be like, man, come in, baby. Like, you know, don't pay these fools any mind. Because me and Mario would just go play Nintendo in the back. And when I connected with him on Facebook, we reminisced about this game we used to play. It was called Bionic Commando back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, old game. And we used to play that all the time, man. And his brothers would always just mess with us, you know, being the... I mean, I think he was the youngest sibling, I think, right?
He was
Mario
at least the youngest boy.
Yeah, okay. And I remember them just always messing with us, man. But you know, one memory I do have though, our last day as we were walking back to the PX to get a taxi cab to then take us to the Bavarian Hotel in downtown Nuremberg.
Yeah.
Because our flight was the next day. So me and my parents, we took one last walk through the community, you know, just to kind of see everything and, you know, kind of say goodbye. I mean, we were there for 11 years, man, long time. And,
long time.
I remember as we were walking out, I saw Mario's mom walking, like she was headed somewhere. So I always say that she was the last person I met in person, you know, from the old community as we were headed out. And yeah, I'll never forget that. And we're telling her, yeah, Mrs. Morel, like, you know, we're PCSing, we're headed to the hotel, you know, we're flying out tomorrow. And yeah, it was, you know, it was bittersweet, man. But hey, we got the memories though. We got the memories, you know, we'll always have that.
You haven't been back, have you?
I haven't. I'd like to though. I'd like to, but I've never been back. But I have seen a lot of videos people post. There's a lot of Facebook groups that I'm in.
Yeah.
Community has changed, man. I've seen housing.
Bruh. It's different. I walked through, and I was like you remember the basketball court on the side walking towards the PX?
Yep. That's what I used to go to a lot.
Yeah. So that basketball court, bro, it's overgrown. The fence is still up. But it's like trees have grown all around it. Like some of the rims are still up. It's almost like the movie I Am Legend. It's like they let the nature take a lot of that stuff, like and then they just built, you know, like they have the summer huts that they will go into.
Yeah,
the German garden that was right on the backside.
Yep.
It's like they let the stuff grow up. The housing looks the same except they made it look better. You know what I mean? So
I saw that there's like little like where the windows are, there's like flower pots now and little and then I saw that they took the playgrounds out.
Some of them are still there. Some of them
are still there.
Yeah, some of them are still there. They let it overgrow, and then it's like they'll plant flowers and stuff that was, you know.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was like you said, it was bittersweet because it's like, wow, this is where I grew up at, but at the same time, you know, they've taken care of it, and it's almost better because it's more natural. It's nature now.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, okay. I did see pictures going back to '96, so it was right after it was when it's so, because I saw housing now, like they're painted differently now from the way it was, but back in the day, remember how they had the vertical, so like it was like brown or yellow to color code, or like some orange color. And I remember I saw pictures that were dated in '96, and it was really sad because a lot of the buildings had graffiti on them. You know, it was all abandoned. Yeah, and they were dated for '96. I mean, it looked like the projects, man. I mean, a lot of things were run down. It was what we still remembered, but there was no people, no cars, a lot of graffiti. The grass had grown long. So in a way, I like seeing the newer pictures where the Germans came back in. People live there now, and at least there's life, right? But like I saw, the PX is gone. The commissary is there, but it's not the commissary. It's some other store, and and Darby Casern, where my dad used to work at. It's like a huge park now in the middle. There's like a huge water fountain, I think, and the gym is still there, the old gym, but it's like a Home Depot type store. And a lot of the buildings are just gone. Like the building where my dad used to work out of isn't there anymore. It's all like one big park.
Bro, you good. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find any of that stuff. I remember I walked the street all the way down for where the track and field was.
Okay.
And I stayed along the side of the highway where like the Burger King was across the street, and then the base was across the street. And so I walked that all the way down to where now we're on the school is on the left, and you can see like the high school, the entrance. It's very interesting. It looked like a school of arts or something like that at this point. And then all the way down to where the movie theater was, and then the shop at and the gas station. I walked that whole area, and as you get towards the shop at and the gas station, it's like a massive Lidl.
Yeah, it's like a supermarket, right? Or grocery store.
Yeah, grocery store. And so we were, out there recording, and just, it was awesome, bro. It was awesome being back. But it would be really cool if we can get a group of people to go back.
If we could do that, man, and reminisce. I mean, if the rims are still up, I still gotta get David back, man. We used to talk so much back in the day, so much. I used to tell him, you got a pattern, because he would always complain I always steal the ball, and I said, you got a pattern. It's like left, right, behind your back, left, right, behind your back. Like I memorize it. You got this pattern, how you dribble it. And so we talked trash a little bit when we first got connected on Facebook. But yeah, just reminiscing, man. But man, if we could do that, that'd be something special, I think.
That'd be awesome, bro. We should
like
do it.
To have a reunion down there. Gosh, I know the school is still up. The inside still looks the same though, because I did see there was a guy that posted a video. I think it was only last year. I didn't know who he was. He went in there. He had his wife, his little girl. So he said, I'm glad I have my daughter with me so she can blend in, because school was in session.
That's right.
So he's going through there, and the timing was perfect because classes were in session. So he was walking through the hallways, going up the stairs, and I'm like, man, I remember all this. Like I'm pointing classrooms out, like, oh, I had Spanish there, I had geometry in this class, and then he went into the other building where the middle school was. Remember where the cafeteria was at? And they had school dances there back in the day.
That's right.
They had school dances. I remember. Was it like Poison, Velvet DeVoe, man? That'd be on. I remember learning the Running Man and just doing like all night, thinking I had the moves, and all I did was a Running Man to that song. And, but yeah, he was showing that. So the interior looks the same, even though the outside was repainted. Little different from what it was, but for me, as long as the memories are there, man, it's all good. That's something we'll always have.
That's right.
Yeah,
that should be one of our joints, man. We should set that up. All right, bro. So, what is a leader?
Leader is someone that, I'll say this right now. They follow the slogan of one of my favorite brands, and that's Nike. You just do it. You just do it. And you just do. But you do it though with a sense of being prepared and knowing. And one of the lessons my dad always taught me was always have an escape plan. So if something doesn't work out, what's plan B? Right. What's plan C? And the way he taught that to me that I could better understand when I was younger was, think of football. You got your first stringers, your second, your third stringers. So what's a backup if so-and-so gets hurt? So if your plan A doesn't work, how do you do that? So for me, you got to come prepared with it, but you just got to do it. I was just talking to one of my team members earlier this afternoon. We have these sessions called Feet on the Street, where we go out in the community, we talk to businesses, introduce ourselves, see what issues are bothering them, how can we help, what resources can we lead them to, and she's a little shy about it, about meeting people, right? Just meeting people. And so I told her, look, in the beginning, it's going to feel awkward, but you just got to do it, because once you have that first conversation and it's not that hard, as you'll learn, then you go to the next one. And it's like with anything else in life, right? The more you do something, the easier it becomes.
That's right.
The difficulty level is still the same, but your ability has improved and your confidence level has gone up. So whatever trepidation and fears you have or difficulties, it's not going to bother you as much. So I say just do it. I mean, man, I've been through a lot in my life too, Martin. I know you have, especially being in the military. There's times when you just got to do it.
You just got to do it.
You just got to do it, and especially with a leader. I mean, if you you command, you say, hey, do this, do that, but then you don't exemplify that as well, and you don't have the knowledge and the experience. That's then right. What good of a leader are you? Because your people will see that very easily. If you're faking it, they're gonna see that. They're gonna see that. So I lead this business team because it was what I did in my previous careers. I was a business banker as well, so I know where they're coming from. I know the challenges they're going to go through.
That's right.
But you gotta do it first, though. You gotta do it first, and then and the rest will follow, man. It just will. But you gotta exemplify it.
Look, you stole my motto without even stealing. Let's lead from the front, man. Look, you can't leave behind no desk. You can't leave behind no phone, no text, no tablets. You got to be out front. And not when you're doing it, when you're leading by example, and you're executing and you're training them to execute, they will, when it's time, they will absolutely, they will move, bro. Like how you're showing them through action, you're taking them out, and we always said shout out to Colonel Man and Miss Nancy, man. They're like some of my military parents. He always used to say, we create trained responses. So we train. And basically when you're saying it's training, is all we're doing is just reciprocating the same thing over and over again. First aid is not natural. I worked with medical people, right? It's not natural for somebody to run towards the war. It's not natural. The bullets are coming at you, run away, right? But medics are trained to run towards the war, to grab their battle buddies and take care of them, right? Patch them up, force multipliers.
Yep.
And so you have to create that trained response of, once it hit, you kick in. The natural you don't kick in. The natural you, some people freeze, some people do freeze. Even grunts. Sometimes they out there and they're kicking the door, boom, bam, 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 right? Sometimes when they kick in the door, some people might freeze.
Yeah.
But when you have that leader that's showing you through example and they're walking you through it and you see them do it, it's a lot easier for you to just jump in and let that trained response kick in. So, bro, I love that. I love your answer, bro.
One thing my dad told me as well, in '91 when they went to Desert Storm. So he was an E7 at the time, right? So he had his own squad that he led and all, and he told them that before we ship out to Saudi, I need soldiers, not heroes, because heroes go out there, they sacrifice, they get killed and all that, but let's be smart about it. So that was one thing he always told me. It's like, I need soldiers, not heroes now. We're not like how you said, let's just attack and do this, because some of his soldiers back in the day were saying things like, let's just go out there and, kick some ass and this and that. Like, well, we got to be smart about it. If we got to retreat, like you said, then we will, because our goal is to get the job done, but to go back home to our families.
That's right.
Is that as well. So I need soldiers, not heroes.
Yes.
So I just want to piggyback off of what you said.
That's awesome, bro. I like that. I need soldiers, not heroes. Shout out to Papa Tan. When did he retire? Did he retire?
He retired, man. So he retired from the Army first, but then he continued working civilian life, in Hawaii.
Yeah.
So my parents just retired last year. No, right before the pandemic. So their goal is they're gonna go between Hawaii and the Philippines. So they went to the Philippines, bought a plot of land, had their dream house built and everything. And it's one of those communities like where a lot of expats or retirees go. So it's like a nice gated community. They bought a plot of land, have all of this. But they've been stuck there though because of the pandemic. Philippines is really strict about pandemic rules and traveling, because regardless of where you are, you're on an island and they can afford mass breakouts.
Right.
So, I mean, and they're retired now, so they figured out we'll stay here, and then go to Hawaii or visit here in Washington. So I'm actually going to visit them later this year in the holidays, man, assuming everything goes well. I haven't seen them in person in almost 4 years.
What?
Almost 4 years. Yeah, it'll be 3.5 years by December, because I used to visit them twice a year when they were still in Hawaii. But now being in the Philippines, and I say with the pandemic, the rules were very different. And they still are, as far as you being a foreigner visiting.
Right.
Because you gotta you gotta stay in a hotel, government sponsored hotel for like 2 weeks. You're gonna stay there to confirm that you don't have COVID.
Yeah.
But those expenses you pay for out of pocket. And so for me, it's like, well, that's the length of my vacation right there. I can't,
Your whole vacation was in a hotel.
yeah, I can isolate in a hotel and not have contact at all and all that. But now things are getting better. You know, more people are getting vaccinated in the country, which means that positive rates have come down. And just like with everywhere else in the world, you know, it's getting better. So now they don't have that requirement anymore. So yeah, this holiday season, hoping to visit them because my birthday is in December, same thing as my mom's, and then it's Christmas too and all that. So yeah, looking forward to it. But yeah, they're retired now, and you know, they're living life. They're liking it.
And shout out to your parents, man. That's so awesome. Well, it's not awesome that you haven't been able to see them, but the beauty of social media and and technology. I keep saying that it's what was it when it first came out when you could do not FaceTime, what was it, Skype?
Oh, Skype, yeah.
Skype,
Man,
let's Skype.
I did all this video stuff until like the pandemic, because for work we had to do like Zoom meetings, all that.
Yeah.
I didn't really know about it until 2020. So yeah, I mean, I'm not so much into technology and stuff, man. I mean, you know, I mean, I know some people from our generation are. I'm more like my, I was gonna say my soldiers, you know, like my team members, right? Where they send me like text messages or emails, and sometimes I miss it. I'm like, man, just call me, like pick up the phone and just call, like let's talk. Like, what is all this text messaging? And they're younger guys too, so you know, there's that as well.
That's why
yeah,
culture, bro. I used to say the same thing, and my soldiers like, oh, now look, listen to this story. They'd be like, no, sorry, just text us because I only have so many minutes. My minutes aren't free until 7 o'clock.
Oh, that's right. That's like when cell phones first came out. Yeah.
I was like, man, if you don't pick up the phone when I call you, you better pick up the phone when you see my name pop up. Just text me, sorry, just text me. So I got into the habit of texting because they responded right away versus a phone call. So
yeah.
All right, what's a quote you live by, bro?
Quote. So what I like is never judge a book by its front cover. That's a quote I always love, because I've made mistakes in the past, assuming that so and so is like this, and and likewise with me. You know, I mean, I try to live as good a life as possible, stay out of trouble, but you know, I will go as far as I can for family and friends if need be. That's right. So I say never judge a book by its front cover, because you just never know. Yeah, you just never know.
That's
yeah.
Good.
So I like that. You always give people the benefit of the doubt. You know, you never assume that so and so, especially in the financial industry. I mean, man, I've seen people walking over branches looking super broke. Then you pull up their accounts and it's like, wow, they got this much money. And then you got people coming in with these chains and designer wear, and you know, they're asking, can you waive my overdraft fee because my account's overdraft? so it's like, okay, you know, you just never know, right? Yeah.
Bro, I seen a guy that had on the what is that? They said bro had on the Velcro sneakers.
Okay.
Millionaire.
Okay.
Buddy had
the orthopedic type shoes.
Yeah. But they said then Buddy had on the brand new Jordan $600 something, $700. broke.
Yeah,
matter of fact,
never tell, man. I mean, you know, there was this, you know, there was a video that someone shared on Facebook that I saw, and they talked about the evolution of Jay-Z when he first started out, the gold chains, you know, all the designer wear and all this. But now that he's become a billionaire, and he's making, and people are like, well, why is he a billionaire? He's not doing concerts anymore. He's not releasing albums, but he's invested his money. You know, he's what we call wealth now, right? Where someone is rich because they have a lot of money, but they got to work to maintain that money. Yeah. So that's like celebrities and professional athletes and all of this stuff. But what he's done, though, is that he's invested that money so the money works for him. And that's what you call wealth, where the money now works for you. Yes. And so he's become a billionaire despite, you know, what, I don't know, has it been like 10 years now or so that since he's released an album? But when you see him, he's dressed a lot simpler when he's hanging out with fellow multimillionaires and billionaires, because there's not that need to constantly show that, hey, I have this, I have that, because everyone knows what you're really about. So if you know you got it, there's no need to flaunt it. Right. But at the same time, I understand young people, because, you know, when I was, you know, coming out of high school or whatever, you know, I'd have fake chains on and all this. You know? I went through that era as well. You know, I can't blame young people. But,
it was that time frame, man. But you know, when you grow up, that's the difference. When you're young, you're doing what young lions do. When you get old, you know, you realize I can't be chasing those phantoms anymore. Now it's about, you know, what's gonna. You're looking at not just you, but your family and your family's family. So
exactly, yeah, it's different priorities, you know, as you get older. And I never thought it applied to me. So now I take that lesson when we talk to young people. And I tell them, have fun. I'm not saying don't have fun, because we had fun when we were
You
in our
have
20s.
to, right?
Yeah, have fun, because the memories aren't. That's something you can always live off of. But at the same time, don't forget about saving and investing that money as well.
Right.
And don't go like the guy that I helped before, asking to waive his overdraft fees, and he's got all these chains on. I'm like, man, like if you're coming to the bank to have your overdraft fees waived, I mean, that's fine. We do that for everyone, but don't come in all flashy and everything.
Yeah.
For that reason. Like,
come in humble.
Yeah, like what is all this? Like, come on. But yeah, that's that.
What's some advice that you would give some young people that are at that crossroad of making decisions, important life decisions, leadership, school,
Yeah.
What's some advice that you would give to them?
Yeah, my advice is don't do it by yourself. Do not do it by yourself. You do a lot of research, you think you know the right path you should be on, but ask other people for help. And so it's kind of coming from my banking point of view as well, because I tell people, always get advice on how you should use your money and what sources of funding you can get. But it goes to life as well, right? Anything. And so that's like, for example, when we talk to the kids, the ones that are entering adulthood, we talk to them about some of the pitfalls you're going to encounter. What do you do when you get that first paycheck? Have fun, but make sure you're putting a little bit of money on the side as well for emergencies, to save for your future, because you never know. So I tell people, for whatever it is, starting a new job, moving to a new place, ask for help. Just ask, just get some feedback from people. With social media, it's so much easier now. I mean, I'm parts of all these Facebook groups about, like here in Seattle, I see people make a post, say, hey, I'm thinking of moving there. What can you guys suggest on this and that? And, people chime in and give their advice. So I say, don't do it by yourself. Even if you feel like you're by yourself, because let's say you have no siblings, you don't have a significant other, you're not good with your family, there's always people you can reach out to for help, for guidance. So just ask. And it goes back to what we said before, right? Just do it. I mean, just ask. The resources are there. You just need to get that help. So I say, get the help, get the advice, and then hopefully you can then use it, create it for your own, where you kind of have it tailor-made, or follow the advice exactly. It's up to you at that point. But don't ever feel like you got to do things by yourself.
That sounds like find yourself a mentor, somebody who's blazed that path before.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, bro. So what's your legacy, man? What do you want people to remember about Galileo size?
Man, just being very selfless, I think, is what it is. Doing what I can to give back. There's a lot of community stuff that I've done, whether by myself or with others. And I don't always flaunt that, I'm doing this on behalf of Harvestone, and there's this and that. Like if it feels like it needs to be done, we just do it, as I said before. So just to know that I'm someone they can reach out to if they need help. And there's a number of people that have reached out to me before for help. I've had, even to one guy who was suicidal and just needed someone to talk to. And I'm like, yeah, man, reach out. Like, don't feel like you got to do these things on your own. So just someone who was always willing to help. Maybe I can't do it money wise, where if you need money, here you go, because I'm not built like that. But
that's right.
But yeah, just to do what I can as much as I can, to the extent that I can. So I think that's what draws me to a lot of these nonprofits that I've worked with in the past, whether it's through my employer or just on my own accord. Because again, I always just think back to our community, where I don't remember there being any nonprofits helping us out. As we grew up in Germany, we were kind of self-serving. Yeah. But to get to that level, though, I do understand where we do need to help people, and not to judge people, for what we think they are.
Right.
Because you don't know that homeless person on the street, what they've been through, who they once were. That's you just never know.
You never
and
know.
It can happen to anyone. So that's why I say, let's just help each other out, one person at a time. And I think if we do that as a society, a lot of the problems we have, man, a lot of these things will start going away. But right now, a lot of society is too preoccupied where, you're either on my side or not. It's us against them. It's them against us. Yeah. It's a lot of that. It's like, why can't we just come together? So now, I know I talked a lot about President Obama before, but me personally, I don't like political parties, man. And that's just my personal opinion, because I feel like, for me personally, I have both conservative and liberal ideals. I have both. I can't say that I'm one or the other, and all they do is further divide us from one another.
That's right.
Because it's like it's Democrats versus Republicans versus Democrats. It's the independents against both of them, and so many other political parties, right? And it's like we've forgotten the first word of the name of our country, united.
That's right.
And we've forgotten the first three words of the Constitution: we the people,
Come
not
on, G.
against them.
Come on, G.
No, I talk about this a lot because I've seen this, especially in the last few years, man. It's like, you know, there's all this rhetoric out there, right, where conservatives have to not like minorities. But I know people personally that are conservatives that love that are minorities even.
Yeah.
Or that liberals are this and that, but not always. And it's like, you know what? It's we got to fix ourselves from within first, man. And that's really what it's, we the people. You know, that's what George Washington wrote before. It's we, us together. And so, and I always tell people this. I say, you know, it sounds like I'm just saying something that seems like it's from some sort of fantasy world or it's not realistic. But I say, man, the 11 years I spent in Germany, you guys just don't know. I'm not saying we had a perfect community. There were issues here and there, but everyone was really together.
Right.
When you were talking about Erica, a good memory I have with her, I think it was her sisters and cousins that all lived like in our same building, man. We were in the middle stairwell. They were in the other one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this, Marte, but when the Gulf War first happened, there were a lot of threats, terrorist threats. That's about right. That they were going to do stuff to our community, this and that.
Yep.
So if you remember, we had a lot of those soldiers, a lot of reservists that came out, and they built the barriers in our community. If you remember, they had sandbags of trucks blocking the entrances. And so one time, you know, they rallied a lot of people in our building. My mom and I were involved as well, where we made sloppy Joe sandwiches, chili bowls of chili soup, and we drove around the community. And this is when it was winter, and we're giving these to the soldiers, you know, like, hey, thank you for protecting us. We know it's a tough time. It's the holidays. You're away from your families, but you're here in Germany protecting us while, you know, the majority of our men and women here that are in the military are now in the Middle East. So it's like a domino effect. So for me, it's like, man, that was such a beautiful thing. You know, we didn't care, white, black, Asian, Hispanic, none of that mattered, man.
Yeah.
I mean, none of that mattered. We were just together as one. So I'm like, if we could do it, and not just Nuremberg, I know I'm talking a lot about Nuremberg, but if other communities in Germany, and I'm sure other communities in Europe could do it as well, or even hopefully overseas. I don't know how they were. I was never like in the Asian bases or whatever, but if they did that in Japan and South Korea, then more power to them as well. If we could do it, then it's not an impossibility. You know, it can be done. But you're not the only one who told me that when they PC us back to the States, that it was a culture shock. I remember we were still in Germany. There was an older kid in one of my classes. I was a freshman. We were both in our ninth grade. This guy was a junior. And I remember him moving back. He went back home to New Jersey, and he wrote a letter to one of his friends. And one of his friends told us in our class that, man, he misses Germany because in going back to New Jersey, he realized there's all these cliques. It's like not everyone, but you got white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids. You know, like how you said.
Right.
But with us, it was just all mixed, man. I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, I know we had some Asians in our school, but the funny thing was the only ones I really knew were, I don't know if you remember Fernando Lopez.
Yeah, I remember Fernando.
His younger brother, Francis. There was another kid, Ronnie, and Jimmy. And those were the only ones I really knew. But there were some other
remember
Asians.
Jimmy, too.
Yeah. So for me, that's like the only ones that I knew in our community. So it's not like I actively sought out, I'm only going to hang out with the Asian kids.
Yeah.
You know, I had more white and black friends than I did. But there were others. But I'm not picking and choosing them. It's just I never had a chance to click with them because we didn't care how you looked. I mean, we just vibed with each other and that was it. Yeah. So that's why I hit all of this stuff going on in the news where you got to be with us or against us and all this. And you know, for your listeners, if they're very loyal to a political party, you know, I apologize, but this is just my personal opinion. Yeah. Where I feel like that we don't need so much division. You know, let's just get together. That's because really, ultimately, a lot of these guys are saying that they're right, the other side is wrong. But what are they doing is they're just really getting our vote so they can continue with their careers.
Keep doing the same thing, bro. They're doing the same thing.
So I'm like, and I have both conservative and liberal tendencies, man. You know, like I have a little bit of both. So I can't pick one side over the other. So when I say President Obama earlier and talk about that, I'm not just saying that, because, you know, I love the Democrats or whatever. I'm talking more about the individual and what he achieved. Right. Is what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was a beautiful thing, man.
Bro, you hitting it something that you know, just been heavy on me for a while. I really hate. I think that we got to find a way to get rid of the party altogether. It's supposed to be government for the people, by the people, right?
Yeah.
And if you're saying that you got to be on the left or the right, which not even that came from England, right? That came
Yep.
from when we were under them,
Hmm.
under the crown. So why do we have to have a left or a right?
Yeah. That was our old parliament system that they introduced.
Well, what's the purpose in it? I mean, I understand that people are going to have differences of opinion, but like you said, you could be over here and agree with the person that's over here. And so does that mean that now you're violating your left or right, whatever? No, it doesn't. It means that you're a person. And that's important, right? We need people to have those differences of opinion so that we can get the best for our country.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
It's like that senator from Florida a few years back, Rubio, I think was the last name. He's a Republican Hispanic. And he was asked, and the conservatives got into an uproar because they were asking him about his youth. And he said, oh, growing up, this and that. And one of the conversation went to, like, what kind of music did you like? So he said he loved rap and his favorite artist was Tupac. And they were like, but wait, you're Republican. But he's like, but that's what I like.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, it's okay for him to be conservative, but man, if he loves Tupac, he loves Tupac.
That's
right. You can't fault him for that. I mean, but that became controversial. It's like, because you're aligned with one side, you can't do anything that the other side does, or vice versa. It's like, man, we're all a little bit of everything, man. We're a mixing pot. We're the very epitome of what a mixing pot is, the United States of America. We're the very epitome of that. So let's be accepting of all these things. I'm not saying you got to like everything, agree with everything, or understand everything. I'm not saying that, because there's things that I personally don't like or agree with, but let's respect each other's differences, though. Right. And the way you respect that is not by criticizing someone in a negative manner and saying what you're doing is wrong, your way's wrong, my way's right. No, let's just respect that, I mean, and just keep it moving. It goes back to that old classic saying, man, that we were probably taught as kids. If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Just keep it moving. You see something, like, just keep it moving. It's all good. That's their thing. I'm gonna do my thing. I'm gonna stay in my lane. That's right. But yeah, but now people are so vocal. Society has become that where you can't do this, you can't do that, or you're wrong, I'm right, but the other side is saying the same thing. And so then that's when we have all this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick with my Army brats, man, because we know what's up.
Yeah. We maybe need to be the ones that rise up and make the change so that everybody can see what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, bro. So we're at the point of the show.
Okay.
Where you get to do a humble boast, a little humble brag, and insert a shameless plug, man. What you got?
Shameless plug, huh? All right. I mean, I don't know how many of your listeners are here in Washington, but so I'll plug my employer right here. I'm wearing the company's shirt right now, Harvest-Owen Credit Union. So I'll say that. Number one, I'll never say that we're the best credit union in the state of Washington, because one thing about the credit union community nationwide is that we're a family of credit unions. You can bank at one credit union and so do your banking at another one, because we have a system called a co-op. It's a co-op system. So, you can't be a Wells Fargo customer, for example, and think you can go and make a deposit at Bank of America into your Wells Fargo account. They just won't do that. Yeah. But in the credit union world, we do that. We help each other out. So I'll never say we're better than so-and-so. But what I do like to say, though, is that we, in the state of Washington, we have one of the more robust products and services aimed for small business owners. We take a huge pride in that, in helping small businesses, because during the PPP loans, when that was going on during the pandemic, we are recognized as the number one PPP loan lender in the state of Washington. Even for non-members, we were doing that, because and the money didn't come from us, it came from the federal government. So we were the middle person in processing the loans. But some of the bigger banks didn't want to do that. That's a lot of extra work, and yet they're not really earning anything on it, right? You're acting more as a middleman for the people that need the funds and then the federal government. So I like to say that we truly stand by what we say, that we're here to help small business owners. And also just really proud of our military background. I mean, and I never knew you're here. I'm trying to explain Fort Lewis and McCord Air Base. Only find out you had been here before. I'm like, man, I felt kind of dumb about that.
No,
like,
man, it's all good.
And I didn't know you were here yourself. So you would probably saw Lakewood then, if you're in the area, or know of Lakewood. That's where our corporate headquarters is for Harvest. Yeah, so we're right there. So that's my little shameless plug. More for my employer and all that.
Okay, you want to shout out any of the family?
Oh yeah, definitely. Mom and dad. So I'm an only child. I don't know if you know this, but yeah, no siblings. It's only me. So I want to shout out my parents as well, and family in Hawaii, here in Washington now on my mom's side, and man, just everyone that grew up in the military, whether you were in Nuremberg or anywhere else. I mean, we've all been through the same thing, right? And our parents, whether it's your mom or dad in the army or any branch of the military, it was always for a really good cause and reason, for preserving what we have, which is why it pisses me off when I see people within the country destroying what we're trying to preserve.
Right. That's right.
That's right. Destroying what we're trying to build and preserve generations before us. Not saying that we were anything special, but many generations before us, and hopefully many generations moving forward will continue to do so, because it's an honorable thing, man. So thank you as well for being in the military, Marte. I know you've been in it. I've seen the pictures on Facebook with other people that I knew in Germany. A lot of them had gone on to the military as well. So it's good that we're continuing these traditions.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you taking some time out of your day to spend with us. It's so awesome to get to talk to my boy Galileo.
Nah, it's all good, Marte. Anytime, man. Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, man. I'm going to have to bring you back for some financial stuff, man. I didn't know you was doing the whole banking thing.
Yeah, let me know if you ever want me to come back for that. Just reminisce about the good old days. Still a lot of stories I can share. I mean, a lot.
Yeah. I know you're an avid sportsman too, right?
Yeah, so local media has been talking about it all week. Come Monday night, Mr. Number 3's back in town. There's been a lot of debate. Should we boo him? Should we cheer him? And there's been a lot of funny stuff going on. Like, yeah, we're gonna show highlight reels of him in the stadium, before the game starts. But then we're gonna play a soundtrack from All Songs by Future. I don't know if you know the background there for it, but yeah, we're gonna have like Future do the halftime show or whatever and all that. So before, people were like so protective of Russell and they were anti-Future because of all the stuff that had happened. But now they're like, nah, now we're gonna rock with Future.
Yeah,
have him come on and do his stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be exciting. Just have football back. Just have football back. I know college football is taking off. I see your thing in the back, Georgia Bulldogs. Yep, you guys are doing it. My alma mater, not so much. They lost their first 2 games at home to schools I've never heard of, Western Kentucky and some other school, and so the final score looked like a basketball score. I mean, that's what it looked like. It looked like a basketball score, and yet this weekend we're traveling to Ann Arbor to take on the Michigan Wolverines. I mean, we're gonna get our ass kicked, man. Yeah, the University of Hawaii. I love my Rainbow Warriors, but we're gonna get our ass kicked come week 3, and hopefully it doesn't get replicated with the Seahawks and the Broncos. But that's what it's looking like.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Hey, but the good thing is, you guys have some good, solid, faithful fans, and
man. Yeah, they rock with them. Whether
that storm.
Oh, and by the way, really quick, I know it's the Falcons for you, right? For the NFL, it's the Falcons. So right now, that's like the new favorite team for people back in Hawaii because of Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
So it was the Titans. It was kind of the Raiders, but now that he's a starting quarterback for the Falcons, there's a big following because for them it's more the local people, wherever they up at. Yeah, so for Marcus Mariota, they're wanting the Falcons now to go all the way. So there you go.
I'm rocking with them too, man.
Oh, there you go. Just throw the shock up.
That's right. Throw it up. I'm really hoping that Marcus. When he came in, I wasn't. A lot of people was like, and I was like, I like Marcus Mariota. I mean, he got injured and things went south, but I think he's gonna do well.
Mm-hmm.
I really do.
Yeah.
He gives us that dual threat of he can extend the play, and and then he got weapons. He got young weapons. So I'm actually at first I was offended, but then I was like, you know what? It might be a good thing. It's kind of like one of those, fly under the radar, let everybody think that they're gonna suck, and then they do much better than what we're expected to do. So
you never know, man. I'm excited for Drake London, your new receiver out of USC. Yeah, because we heard a lot about him, playing the University of Washington and all that here on the West Coast. So we heard a lot about him. So when I saw the Falcons pick him up, I was like, okay, cool. But who's going to be throwing to him? Because I didn't know if you guys were going to get rid of Matt Ryan at the time. It turns out you guys did. You have him. But then you got that rookie quarterback from Cincinnati.
Ritter, I think it is.
Yeah. Because the Seahawks were looking at him. They invited him to Seattle twice. I thought they were going to draft him, but they never did. But he came here twice. It was covered in the local news. So I'm like, okay, is this the next, Russell or what? And then I saw the Falcons pick them up. So I was like, okay, so You guys are probably going to develop him, but that's all good, man. I'm just glad the NFL's back this weekend.
Look, man, I got to have you on the sports podcast, man.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, I saw some samples of that. The sports one. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
man, because it's basketball wasn't the biggest hot topic for those guys. So, but everybody want to do football. Everybody want to do football. So I was like, I need people that's actually gonna be that love the sport. You have your team, but you love the sport, and you could be, you could separate, my team from, what you really think is gonna happen. Like I love the Falcons. I hope they're gonna do well. However, I do realize all of those guys are pretty much coming together for the first time.
So, by the way, speaking of the NBA, though, just earlier today, a lot of people were showing on Twitter. So right now, this is a rumor. I'm not saying this is official, but I hope it's official. The Clippers are going to play 2 preseason games here in Seattle. They built a new stadium. It's for the Seattle Kraken. It's our first hockey team.
Yeah.
But the goal is to get the NBA back, to get the Supersonics back.
Yeah.
So what was reported was the Clippers, when they have their 2 preseason games in September, later at the end of this month, rumor has it that's when the NBA is going to announce that they will expand to Seattle. Because right now it's Seattle and Las Vegas that the NBA is going to expand to. So that's a big rumor. So that's been teared up here locally all day today, where, hey, if this is true and they're going to announce that they'll bring them back, then that's going to be something else. Because this stadium was designed to be a basketball and a hockey stadium at the same time. And it's where the old Key Arena was. So the old Gary Payton, Sean Kemp days. It's on the same piece of land, same roof, but they redid everything else.
Nice.
So if they announce the return of the Sonics, man, it's going to be crazy. So we're hoping it's true. We'll see. But apparently it's going to be announced during the Clippers preseason game here. I forgot who they're playing against, but that'll be later on at the end of this month. But yeah, NBA, man, I can talk about that all the time too, and the GOAT debate and all that.
Yeah,
I got my opinions.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll have to have you back then.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Let me know. And whatever. As long as it's like basketball and football. I like a little bit of baseball, but I don't know a whole lot about it.
I don't follow it like that. I should. I am a Braves fan. Where is it? It's over there somewhere. But I don't follow it like I should.
Yeah. And then Mariners, same. Like when we were younger, if you remember Ken Griffey Jr.
Yep.
And that whole era. So obviously that was that. But it's mostly basketball and football for me.
Okay.
So as long as it's about that, I can talk on it. But if it's something else, then I'll just sit back and relax. And
look, somebody will say something that'll spark you, because I'm gonna have some very opinionated people on the show, bro.
Okay. Hey, if we ever have the whole GOAT debate, Michael, LeBron, Kobe, or whoever else some people want to bring, I got some really good stories that relate to Germany about why I pick who I pick.
Okay.
So I'll just leave it for there.
You gonna leave it there? Okay.
Yeah, I'll leave it for there.
That might be the topic of discussion.
Because there's a lot of things that the reason why, I'm probably giving away if I'm talking about Germany, but for me it's Jordan is who my GOAT is, right? But there's a lot of things related to Germany about it. Why I have the opinion that I have. It's not the usual because of the highlights and the 6 championships, that too. But there's a lot of things I can relate to our time in Germany.
Okay.
About things that happened and didn't happen, but I'll leave it for there.
Okay.
I'll leave it for there because there's some other things about it. Yeah, and some of it I think you might. How long were you in Germany, Marte?
I was there from 89 to 94.
89 to 94. Okay. Man, this was either 88 or 89 when this happened at Derby Caserne. But I'll leave it for there. I'll leave it for there because I remember it really well.
I'm gonna write this down. You're gonna have to. We're gonna go into this story.
Yeah, this was middle school now. So, this would have been 90 or 91 then if it was middle school.
Yeah.
Because I remember what a bunch of kids was wearing in the cafeteria at lunch like that next week. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that because it's going to give away some things. But I don't know if you remember this. This is probably right when you first arrived there. But yeah, it has to do with Michael Jordan, man, in the USO tour. So
you
trying
so hard not to give it away.
I'll talk on it though when it happens. And who we ended up having let's just leave it at that because it's gonna give too much away. Because
man.
Yeah, I'll leave it for there because it's a whole crazy thing. But I'll talk more about it though.
All right, bro. Hey, look, man. Thank you so much for coming out.
Man.
It was so awesome. I don't want to keep this thing going. Some people will actually stay. I still got some people on. Shout out to all y'all viewers that's out there hanging with us. we really appreciate you. You know, wherever you are. Good morning, afternoon, evening, half a day, wherever you are. You're gonna have to teach me how to say good morning and afternoon, or just hello in Tagalog.
Okay. Magandang adlaw is how you would say it.
Say it again.
Magandang adlaw. It's like good day to you, like
Good
that.
day to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, so it can be anything. Morning, afternoon.
It's when any time of the day you can say it.
Yeah, anytime. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna learn it. But
Okay.
to everybody out there, man, thank you guys so much. We are in season 2, so we about to ramp it up. If I reach out to you, that means you got the call, and you know, don't be shy. Like Galileo said, just do it.
Just do it, man. It's a
On
Nike
that.
plug. Yo, it's a Nike plug. Let me know for that sports one. I'd love to be back on that one.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And on that, we are out. Peace, bro.
All right, take care, Marte.
Hey, good
Thanks,
night.
man.
Well, we're not starting, we're ending. But thank you guys for coming out, hanging out with me and my fellow Nuremberg brat, Galileo Tan, all the way out there in Washington, Seattle. Man, that was awesome, man. I haven't seen that brother and talked to him like talk since '94. So, you know, if you guys are brats, you know, link up with your people, stay in touch. Social media is a wonderful thing for that. And I'll be in touch, man. Got a couple more shows lined up, and I'm still filling out my calendar. So, love y'all. Thank you, and good night. Make sure y'all smash that like, comment, and subscribe buttons here and on YouTube. Peace.